the NCAA Final Four, where lifetimes of dreams are vindicated or vanquished. Players gather their courage. Coaches prepare to execute. One announcer readies to call the game of his career. My father, Bill Raftery, at 73, is punching his first ticket to the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship.
With a kiss, just with a high kiss, with the kiss!
As the son of a basketball icon, I couldn't help inheriting the sport, but filmmaking became my calling, giving me now this unique opportunity to tell his story. What was not expected was to discover much more than I already knew about the man and our relationship.
Freshman trying to back down the senior, and he will. Okafor just went right into Frank Kaminsky's chest, backed him up. Well, this is a very different look defensively with these switches.
See the automatic switch.
Switch on Jefferson on deck, and another switch out top. Kaminsky for three.
This is good stuff.
Okafor shook his head at Cook as if to say, don't give me the ball now, not open.
I can't believe you're calling the championship game tonight.
Why?
I don't know. I've been watching you do this my whole life.
It's, it's the ultimate. The whole thing is like a fairy tale, But you treat it like every game, Papa would be shocked. How does a fella get a job like yours? Why don't you get a real job, And my mother would be saying there's too much said about it.
So every single note you took this year is right there in your hands.
That's the year. Can't believe the season's over already,
Hi, everyone. This is Dick Landis along with Bill Raftery.
That's the first thing I ever did.
Hall University, who is going to sit in with us.
First game ever.
And I'm sure you'll be interested in his commentary. He doesn't have any players in this game, so it should be freewheeling, Billy.
It's nice to be in Atlantic City by the boardwalk. A lot of dreams are fulfilled down here and a lot lost, too. I'm looking forward to it. I don't have to holler at officials. Can enjoy the game with you. Strong move for a little guy. They love to go inside, those little guys. All of us were very impressed with him. For a first-year coach.
Look at the hair. I think I still have the coat and tie.
No, really?
No.
They're going to pick the dribble up. They might bounce it between their legs. Their girlfriend enjoys it. Their mother enjoys it. You're right. For no good reason.
How'd you know what to say?
I used to just do things and didn't think of, the result.
The lady just lost her soft drink on that pitch out.
Sure. Who's this guy with the color?
People realize your father's a hell of a basketball player.
Well, Raf is a good coach.
Oftentimes overlooked is his ability to break down a game. He's brilliant about that.
Georgetown playing as well as I've ever seen a John Thompson team.
Mark McDonald should have just let Chris Mullin run down the floor.
It's like you got Michael Jordan over there. You look over, you're like, all right, we're okay.
Three-pointer.
He's done more for jargon than anybody in the history of basketball broadcasting.
Finesse and a little lingerie on the deck.
I would try to bank a shot just so I could go back to see if he said the kiss.
A little kiss by the big fella.
Billy has that wonderful effect on people, and not just Roy Williams.
He really is a remarkable, delightful human being. If I say it, okay, it's okay. But if everybody says it, it's true. And that's what's true about your father.
Yeah. My father grew up in Kearney, New Jersey, a working-class industrial town 10 miles west of New York City, where his lifelong love affair with basketball began.
I loved it. Looked forward to playing. It was part of what you did every day. The big Christmas gift was a basketball. All the gifts were extraneous, and all of a sudden they pop out the basketball, and that made Christmas for me. But I was not known for my hops, as they say.
He was a great high school scorer.
If you played basketball in New Jersey, I mean, he was a legend.
I knew of him because he was such a good player.
For at least 20 years, he was the leading scorer in New Jersey.
I don't think we recruited him. Your father sent me a beautiful letter. Dear Coach, I appreciate your kind invitation to attend Senja. Unfortunately, I must rescind. See him a couple of years later. I says, you bum you? I never asked you to come to Senja. This is what I thought I'd make you feel good anyway. It was in high school. Was it St. Cecilia?
Yep. That's where my mother went to church. It was all predicated around sports. Hey, Sam, how you doing? Good, nice to see you. Thanks for doing this. This is how we used to come in. Yeah. And they used to play when the Saints come marching in, you know.
Did Maz watch the games?
My mother used to take the tickets out there. She could care less about the game. It doesn't seem like that long ago. Amazing. Oh, yeah. You know, there's some great games here. We could dunk it at this end. It was a little shorter. One of the lines I always use, he didn't learn to shoot in the church league. Look how low the ceiling is.
Who'd you say made you practice free throws while you're at school?
Yeah, the principal, Sister Helen Rose. You know, you missed a few free throws and you were condemned to go shoot in the gym. Principal's office was over in that corner there. You know, she'd peek out every once in a while. She had that outward veneer of being really tough, but inwardly was a very soft lady. It peaked on the biology, I'll tell you that.
What about your coach?
Coach, he was great. Everybody respected him.
Your father was always a scorer. He scored over 2,000 points, and there was no three-point shot then. He could handle the ball even when he was 6'4". He could drive to the boards. He shot well. He rebounded, and he played defense. You couldn't ask for any more than that from the player. He could get angry at times, believe me.
I'm his son, I know.
But I'll tell you one thing, your father. You want to know how great he was? He's in the process of breaking the county record. We're playing a team, and we're starting to murder them. So I call a timeout. I take all the starters out, but I leave your father in. I said, Bill, get some more points. You got the record in that. After about 2 minutes, the fans are booing me and everything. Timeout. Bill, I put you in the score. You won't take a shot. Coach, we're killing the team. I don't want to score anymore. I had to take him out of the game, but that's the type of person your father was. That's why the players liked him too.
I don't think there was anybody else ever in the history of the state that was first team All-State in 3 sports. Not only in basketball, but in soccer and baseball as well. And you'll never hear that from him. He gets mad at me if I tell somebody that.
Things went well. I mean, the yearbook had a picture of me on the Today Show.
He was the #1 high school player in the country. The award that Oscar Robertson, Will Chamberlain, LeBron James got. And you didn't know it, you know? That's Raf. You know?
It really is.
We used to know everybody on the street. 224. It looked so much bigger when we were kids.
A lot of memories for this place, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every holiday was here and every good meal and, you know, it was pretty special atmosphere. The structure was so good. They just sacrificed everything for the 3 of us. Particularly Dad, his work habits were just amazing. Sick or injured or bad health, he would never miss his shift at work. He was the stationary engineer for the Furrier. The union was predominantly Irish, and he would teach guys that would come over without any compensation how to get started in life. My mother used to be able to tease my dad or us without us knowing. She was great to be around, always gregarious, open door. Anybody could come in, always a cup of tea, just an open, giving lady. The same, if you got an award, she would recognize it. Maybe weeks later, you'd say, where'd that go? That was it. It was like you played it because you loved it. Where we learned how to play, basically. With all the big guys, you know, we'd come in and sit, wait in between games, you'd shoot a little bit. in Kearney and Harrison and East Newark, all of those communities had the place you go to play, where you make your bones by the day in, day out playing, and you also have the older guys who you emulate. Older guys would pick you to play to fill out the roster. They taught us.
That's going to change a bit, though, huh?
Yeah, this was it. You know, this was our Madison Square Garden. Grind it out, trying to stay out there all day long. As you grew from our town, you know, you realize there were a lot of other very good players. So, I mean, if you thought you were pretty good, well, you were one game away from realizing you weren't.
You know the Philly area very well.
Well, I played in the Big Five, and St. Joe's is a well.
Wait a minute, you played? You played one of the most overrated players in all of America when he went on to college.
We played against each other when he was at LaSalle, and I think we won the game. He doesn't remember it that way.
You listen to him now cracking jokes and playing. You don't think of Raf as being a good basketball player when he was in college.
I had to go to a Catholic school in LaSalle. It was small. Duty Moore was world renowned as a clinician and teacher. He was sort of the John Wooden of the 50s. He had great Duquesne teams and then came to LaSalle. I got hurt summer between my freshman and sophomore year. Sort of had back issues on and off. The next year, scrimmaging NYU, I went down and that was it. I'll tell you the one thing, though. Sitting next to Duty Moore my junior year during the season, I got my first taste of wanting to coach because he would talk to me during the game as though I were an assistant.
After overcoming surgery and sitting out a year at LaSalle, my father was drafted by the New York Knicks in 1963.
I was lucky to get drafted. There were 8 teams. I think they even did me a favor drafting me. I got through summer camp, but they were physically imposing. Richie Guerin, who was a great player, Hall of Famer, a starting guard.
Met him when I was playing with the Knicks. That injury that your dad had definitely had an effect on his potential being able to play in the NBA. With the knowledge that they have today, I guarantee your dad would have been back.
It was fun to give it a shot.
Unfortunately, your dad didn't get the right opportunity.
There wasn't an ABA where you could go say, okay, I'll try another league. A couple of years later, that started. But by that time, I was coaching.
This CBS Sports Spectacular, With a Kiss, is presented by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
When I got cut, I was still at home, just out of school. And I got to the house, and my mother said, with the Irish accent, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I got cut." She said, "Well, that's too bad. Go get yourself a job." I mean, it sounds harsh, but she was right. Got a phone call about Fairleigh Dickinson Madison shortly thereafter. A lot of guys get the opportunity to coach under somebody that taught them and brought them along. But I had been on my own, which was great. The first year or two, you did everything your high school coach and your college coach did. But you sort of develop a style that's yours. After 5 years, Fairleigh Dickinson did okay, Division III, and was fortunate enough to get an opportunity at Seton Hall because of Richie Regan and Father Horgan.
Raf and I coached against one another. That's when I first met him, and he was a wild man running along the sidelines, and I was a wild man running along my sidelines. At that time, all the Metropolitan coaches once a week met with the press, so you got to know guys a little bit different. Friendships formed, and that friendship has lasted a lifetime between the two of us.
Billy, Seton Hall had good guys.
He always recruited great guards, from Paul Lape to Danny Calandrillo to Greg Tynes.
He was more than a coach, he was a teacher. And actually for 4 years, he was like a father to me, you know.
Every player was like his kid. You got to go to class, you got to get your education, you can't look like that.
As nice as can be off the court, but if you slipped up on the court, he really would give it to you.
Stuff I learned, like through a loss, you learn more. It's all these little cliches, but I teach that to kids I coach now.
His comment on his apparel that he was sporting.
He was dressed to the hilt.
He was really flamboyant with the checkered pants.
Whether it be a velvet suit.
Those suede sport coats, they were in vogue then.
I didn't pay a damn bit of attention to his how he dressed. I was so busy trying to find something else to get mad at him about, to try to reach an emotional level. Raf was very excitable when he was coaching.
5 minutes in, jacket's gone.
Throwing his jacket.
Stepped on it, hit a guy in the head. I was like...
And then there was always the over-under on whether the buttons on the shirt were going to go.
He was a man doing a game. Oh, he could go. He'd fight you.
We played in a bandbox.
Small gym. The crowd, they were right on you. That seemed to build up the intensity of the game even more.
That was really the strength to us, was playing at Seton Hall. In that little gym now.
He had good teams at Seton Hall.
Drillo is towed the line for 2. Drillo around Eric Smith.
He always had good guards.
We were playing Iona, Fordham, Manhattan. You know, we were holding our own, beating them in there. And then Raf's like, look, we're going to a new league. And this, I'm like, oh my God, what league is that? He's like, it's going to be called the Big East.
We were really just a bunch of Eastern schools before Dave Gavitt figured out we need a league. Dave felt that this deal was going to show the country that the basketball in the East was as good as any place, but it had never been marketed. And the nice thing was ESPN starting at the same time. They grew together. TV made us. The year after Pearl Washington came to Syracuse, I got in baggage claim at LAX, and the guy said, oh, hey, you're Pearl's coach.
When the Big East was being formed, the number of schools didn't get in. And Seton Hall did a masterful job of getting into the Big East. A lot of it had to do with the profile that Bill had.
We were like, oh my God, how are we going to compete against these teams? It was almost like organized street ball, just going at it.
Wrong. Look at Tom Brown, goaltender. Competing in that Big East was not very easy. We had such competitive battles where we kind of went after each other, but he handled that so well.
Little by little, you know, we just all came together and found a way to beat these teams.
3-on-1. Andre McLeod is...
In reality, he was the most successful Seton coach against me. We were 1-1.
You know, really put Seton Hall on the map.
And they've benefited for over 3 decades now from having that association.
We had so much fun, didn't we? The kids would go to all the games and the practices, and it was part of our life.
On weekends, we'd all hang out in the gym, all 4 of us, and that is one of the highlights of my youth. It was so fun.
Mine too. We thought we owned the place.
If players weren't keeping up with their schoolwork and they were in trouble at school,
or late for practice, they would babysit
holidays.
us. You spend one night babysitting the Raftery kids, it's instant birth control.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave's particularly close to the coaches, having been one, and a great one. I just said to him one night, you know, maybe someday, Dave, when I'm finished, and at that point I think I'm going to be John Wooden, you know, I'm going to be a lifer. You know, maybe someday I'd love to announce, you know.
Your dad was always able to take situations that occurred and put like the PG version out there, which is tremendous.
We always told him he was such a good guy in terms of storytelling that he could have that opportunity to do it on air.
October 28th of 81, Dave called and said, if you want to do this, you got 2 days, because I don't want to have everybody calling me for this job.
We talked about it. I said, Bill, do it. I mean, you're young. It's an opportunity. We're thinking get back into coaching again.
And that's how it started. Had a meeting with the players, moved on. It was just like overnight.
What did you think of the game, Elizabeth? Oh, you sound like my guys at a timeout. No reaction whatsoever.
When I come home and we lose, she loves me. And that's the only one in Syracuse that loves me when we lose. But
when we lost Bill Raftery to the broadcast world, we gained a friend. And there aren't that many friends of coaches on the broadcast side.
Slud Berman along with Bill Raftery, rather historic in nature. Number 1 beating number 2.
It was a basketball junkie's dream.
They're running the ball. They have to make sure they don't give up the easy, quick pass.
Here, Cucahoyas, 3-on-1.
His instant credibility, Raf as a coach, made it different than every other broadcast you'd watch.
When you're playing Chris Mullin, a lot of things happen.
It's nice when you get qualified people that are on the outside looking in.
He actually thought it was flagrant, I'm sure. Man stepped in the way. I think it should have been a one-shot foul.
He brings the human side.
Well, BC deserves where they are. Unsung people like Jay Murphy,
He can be critical,
I think they'll be a little tight or apprehensive, BC. That's a guess now.
but never be harsh.
5 of the last 7 years, the ACC or the Big Ten have won this championship. Put the slippers under the bed. The glass ones, Pat. No more Cinderellas.
I'm not going to hammer them. I mean, he's been there.
My partner, the ex-Seton Hall coach, Bill Raftery. And Bill, Seton Hall, back-to-back losses, a bit of a slump. Any reason for concern?
A lot of times there's a really good team that gets pasted, and it's tough for people to understand that this can happen. Fans take it personal. Sometimes it's when you play them, where you play them, psychologically, where is your team that day, whether it's injury or somebody not on top of their game that particular day that takes everybody down a little.
He doesn't feel like he has to get his point across to please other people. He's pretty honest and pretty real about things.
Digger Phelps' assistant, doing it his own way. And Eric Piatkowski, terrific outside shooter, strong around the glass. This is a good basketball team.
Coaches, we watch a lot of tape. Most of the time it's on mute because you get tired of stories and recruiting, and I've never muted Raf.
Defense forces him to a trap. This is like Times Square, New Year's Eve. Look at all those bodies in that 3-second area. You think there are a couple of loose dollar bills?
Sometime during the ball game, he will come up with some insight, and I'll learn from him.
Off to completion.
And that's one of the things I've always admired about him.
Remember the team meetings? Team meetings.
Team meetings just does not leave.
That's Daddy, yeah.
That's what Dad used to say.
That was the
We'd be misbehaving
discipline.
for Mom while he was on the road, and they'd be like, all right, team meeting, and we'd all get together and be like, if we can't get along in here, we're never going to survive out there. We'd look at each other and we'd all be like rolling our eyes. He was warm and loving, but he was also tough love. When we were like high school kids that wanted to go to a party and you were fresh to your mother. Yeah. Nets game. Go to the Nets game Friday night, and we'd be like, no! Meanwhile, everybody in class was like, that's sick. You get to go to the Nets game?
In addition to the college games, my father became the local New Jersey Nets color commentator.
Explosive dunk from Sean Elliott. Who is that guy? Get his number.
We had a great group of both radio and TV, producers and directors and on air.
My first game on television was with Bill. My initial thoughts were trying to lay some things out and talk about how we want to do it. And Bill said, no, Bird, just let it fly.
But there were a lot of years where the team was struggling, and your job is to make it still as enjoyable as you possibly can. And that's where background and past experiences comes into play.
He's not Bob Uecker, but he likes good seats.
I figured it out pretty quickly. Who you are off the air should come through on the air from day one. He's not trying to be somebody else. Who he is bursts through the TV screen.
Second period. Jordan spinning. Oh, Michael Jordan.
Pick up the linen, please. We got another place setting. Excellent defensive work, and he's punished for it.
My father was finding his on-air voice, and then there was that famous call.
Jackson, amongst others.
People to this day still bring it up. I remember talking to Jerome, and he said, thank you for making me popular, Rav.
Hold on at home. Here we go again.
Maybe the most famous call of all.
Send it in, Jerome.
It taught me that you never know when the big highlight's going to come. You better be ready.
I'm joined by my partner, Bill Raftery, and let's talk about Adam Morrison. He's a young guy with an old school game.
Why are you looking at me when you said old school? He understands the game, Gus. He's 6. Fires! Oh! Get a 3! What a game!
The one thing in broadcasting is that you try and say things succinctly and get out of the play-by-play guy's way. Therefore, man-to-man became Miniman.
Gus Johnson, Oklahoma State, goes Miniman!
I always felt like I was the #1 authority on the Raf to English translation.
For the high kiss, the only shot he had. The kiss!
That's off the glass.
Get the puppies! And drill them from deep, gets those puppies organized and knocks it down.
That means get your feet set.
The blow-by! The blow-by by the big fella, number 44!
He got around the defender.
The nickel-dimer!
That's a bad call.
A week they had an article. Here's a nickel-dimer by Jay Walker.
Didn't have to blow the whistle.
The lingerie!
That's a tough one.
A little lingerie on the deck!
The player faked the defender out of his jockstrap.
Onions!
I think we know what that is.
Big...
You know what.
The onions thing, it just popped out.
Oh! Major onions!
It gets back to saying things quickly or don't bore people. A lot of our friends are like that. They're clever and they're going to give you a 30-second bada boom, boom, boom.
His last year doing the Nets, the team went to the NBA Finals. We couldn't believe that this was a high level of basketball and that we got to do the games.
Bird and I had 2 final championship runs with San Antonio and the Lakers, and that was one of the highlights.
The team was on the rise, and the plug was pulled.
He had 3 different contracts working between the Nets and ESPN, CBS. He had the option to stay with the Nets, but he had to do all the games. He couldn't just do the ones that fit with his other obligations.
Everybody gets let go sometime. It's just the way they did it, over the phone. And it was very impersonal.
It was a crushing blow for the broadcast. Bill was an institution, had been doing it 20 years.
When adversity strikes, Billy, the true guy comes out. Not when you're winning, okay? Not when you're coach of the year, you're a Hall of Fame guy. When adversity strikes, the true guy comes out. That's your dad. Adversity struck, so what? I'll get another job, I'll be fine.
He was pretty good moving on, you know?
Raf bounced back the same way he always bounces back, with a smile on his face. He was doing more college games, and I think his popularity continued to skyrocket.
As my father gained national attention, his game assignments kept getting better.
In a game like this with so much pressure, you have to feel like so much more pressure when you're constantly playing from behind.
We didn't know up until, probably the second overtime that we got something historic.
This one will at least tie that one for the longest game ever, and if Syracuse could force the 4th overtime,
throughout that 6 overtime game, the feel your dad had for an important time to analyze something and stick to the game.
Anytime you're in traffic, you got to be careful with the ball and be tough with it. Here, he's not a dribbler. He had a wing guy, make a quicker decision.
This is where we can have a little fun.
Rebound by Justin Thomas. Who? Justin Thomas, the walk-on. In his 10th game of the year.
That was never on greater display. The 3 of us, that might have been the most fun I think we've had doing a game.
And I watched the tape afterwards. The best broadcast you would ever see.
Off the mark, in the corner, Adrian, no! Overtime number 6.
I think it made 3 guys into a broadcast legend.
What do you need, Bill? I'm trying to practice. You know, Larry, I'm really turning bullish on this organization. Hit me. Who's going to win the lottery?
Phoenix.
Phoenix? How about Golden State?
Golden State. That does not compute. That does not compute.
Nancy, I must go.
People are so fixated on Raf's
personality and his trademark expressions and his sense of humor that I think sometimes the analysis part of it gets lost.
We all know that he still looks at the game like a coach, and we know he prepares like a coach. He watches a lot of film. I know he does.
Everybody talks about your prep then.
Yeah, what?
Everybody, can you hear me? Everybody talks about your preparation, and they always say that it's overlooked because of your animation and sayings.
I think it takes a lot to know a little. Like, you try and know everything that they do, not to be a know-it-all, but just to be aware. You know how they scored. Not necessarily to verbalize it, but sometimes to enjoy it.
It's hard to get him out to play golf, honestly, when he's here, because he's being here in one of these rooms, like bearing down, watching tape of the next couple games he's got.
Well, he's a pain in the ass. See, when I see his name come up on my phone, I don't even answer it, because I know he's preparing for the game.
You watching?
It's Duke Clemson.
My first video, guys, Bill would ask him to send him stuff on the teams we played, ourselves, or other teams in our conference, whatever game he was doing. That's the coach in him.
He's still a coach. He coaches when he's a commentator. I still talk to your dad because he has games all over the country.
When you talk to him off the air, he knows what plays you're running, what the other team's doing. He doesn't always use that on the air, which is kind of cool.
You just know that it's high level. All those books that he's kept, all those notes in all those years.
If you look on his notes, it's just random drawings.
It's little tiny scribbles of what each of these guys can bring to the game. I mean, he's done a scouting report on everybody.
There are different sets, different plays that he's diagrammed throughout the week that the team that he's covering may run.
Davis gets him again. Woo! Didn't give up on it.
It's important for him to fully immerse himself.
Once he feels comfortable with his preparation, he lets it rip after that.
Can you zoom in on those a little bit? Yeah. I mean, the diagram just...
What this says to me is that he does it his way. And by doing this, he gets into a mood. That makes him even better. Yeah, like this kind of stuff makes him even better.
All those hours of preparation pay off by sitting back and watching the game and enjoying the game.
One of the things that you try and do, not like overpower the broadcast with your knowledge, it's really responding to the game and incorporating some of your research or verbal. Some people give you some information.
So from there, we'll run that little tease. It'll run to the animation. We'll then come inside and take a look at the Big Ten standings. Obviously, both teams trying to position themselves.
Jason, is there any way we can come up with how many games Bryant's had 2 fouls and had to sit in the first half?
Thomas Bryant? Yeah, we can take a look.
Because that's like been a major issue in all their big games. You better be ready to know what this team does, and when they do it, that you see it. CBS provides you with a lot of support and research. I always feel it's like taking an exam, and you're dying if they ask you some questions in the area you didn't prepare. He's the best at bringing you what you really want to know as a fan, because the coaches trust him and the players trust him.
The Hoosiers and the Spartans going head-to-head.
I would script my first 5 plays, and I gave them to Bill, and for like once in a million years, like 3 of them worked, you know? And I looked over and there was like a wink, you know? And it was just, that's the trust I had in him.
The Spartans 88, the Hoosiers 69.
As they happen, download the CBS Sports app now.
Over the last decade, my father's won a handful of distinguished awards for his contributions to basketball. Do you think about Mozzie and Papa when you're getting honored like this?
Yeah, I mean, my father, knowing him, you would never hear, but you would feel the pride. You know, he was a man of few words. My mother's first reaction would be, well, that's wonderful. Don't think you're a big deal.
But the most revered in the announcing world is entering the National Sportscasters and Sports Writers Hall of Fame.
I learned how to be a pro. I learned about meticulous preparation. And I learned that men have different sized livers. I didn't know this.
Bill Raftery, thank you.
No finer person. Congratulations.
I would like to echo those comments, but I don't like to lie in front of this many people.
What basketball did for you, did you want that for me when I was younger?
No, I think it's just because you liked it and became good was gratifying. You know, but I didn't think anything personal like, I hope he does this, I hope he does that. I just thought if you like it and you're bitten, who knows how far you could go.
When you have a child who can play, I mean, in my son's case, he was just a shooter, but I remember you could just flat out play. So, you know, I thought you would take it a lot further.
My goodness, Tony, when you decided you're in Columbia.
It was tough. It was tough. I do. I was around for that when you made the decision not to play in college.
Was it hard for you when I quit basketball?
Well, you know better than me. What are you asking me for? You know, I didn't handle it well. Only because of the commitment you made to Armin Hill. You know, that was what sort of annoyed me. And I guess probably personally, you know, you had so much talent. I probably wanted you to take advantage of it.
Nice to finally get a couple days off and chill.
Yeah, it is. Oh boy. Forget the road, the weather, missed planes, delayed planes. And get a chance to refresh. Oh, hold on. You know, refresh, look over a couple of notes, tape, and get back on the road. Hey, Wolfie, what's up? When are you going in? Today. Why?
Accumulations could reach 3 feet. What's about to become the blizzard of 2016.
Hopefully I'll see you there tonight. Safe travel.
What's up?
Ice storm, so they expect it tomorrow. And so I better get going anyhow. So.
You were here to have a couple days down, right?
Yeah, so much for that.
I don't know how many times I've said this to Bill Raftery. I said, how do you do this? You enjoy Florida. You love playing golf. He said, but yeah, you know what? I love the game. I love the people in the game. The travel doesn't bother me at all. You're crazy. All you're doing is running in one door, out the other door, changing your travel arrangements. As I sit here, there's a snowstorm near Raleigh-Durham, and he's going to go do a Duke, North Carolina State game. He had to leave 3 days early to make sure he'd be there for the game. So this is a tough job. I'm glad I don't do it anymore.
This schedule was hard. It was, when they were little, it was hard because he was on the road. Actually, it's harder today. He's on the road a lot more. I love being with Bill when we're walking, like, say, in Grand Central Station or it's airports, and it's jammed with people, and you'll hear somebody scream out, with a kiss, or onions, or lingerie on a deck.
My favorite of all time.
I mean, I like, he's so nice to everybody. It's so cute.
Have a great dinner tonight.
Yeah, we will. We got the gang here. Hey, look. Our home situation is what I'd call unique. Joni runs the show. All these years of running around, having a ball, which I have, for her to cope with, you know, all the demands of each child, which she responded to with a smile, basically, all these years. And this is embarrassing in front of everybody.
Should I open it in the middle?
No.
Wow. Oh, thanks, Bill. I love it. It's gorgeous. It has a little bag.
My father taught me that basketball is about discipline, ethics, and a passion for life and people.
Come on, you tee it up.
It's funny how basketball keeps bringing us back together.
Yeah, you ended up using basketball even after you left school.
Bring it in, bring it in.
You build trust. You know, you go from distant with one another to providing a service that's really good for the community. You help more people between 21 and 25 than, you know, most people touch in a lifetime. You did it all on your own. Basketball does a lot for a lot of people. That's pretty good.
Even though I didn't follow the basketball path, I realized the sport was our way of communicating. And that my father, even when he was off the court, was teaching me the game.
One more, we're going to get a drink.
This CBS Sports Spectacular, with a kiss, is presented by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
From Kearney to the Final Four, it's incredible to see how my father's simple love affair with a basketball could grow into a cultural icon of a sport.
Frank said, Koenig, he thinks Bill Raftery looks like Bob Barker.
I mean, believe me, with his schedule, it would be very easy to just show up and do it. But he does every game like it's his last.
He is as prepared as any analyst in any sport that I've ever worked with.
He never stops moving. He's in perpetual motion.
He is superhuman.
Well, he drives us all crazy because he's fun.
When you finally get to meet somebody like Ralph, the really nice thing, and I'm not just saying this because we're doing this piece, he's cool as you hoped he'd be.
Bill adds a real sense of joy at what the sport can become. When he walks into an arena, he's as accessible as anybody. He goes over and talks to the kids and talks to the parents, and I think the kids love him for that.
In typical Bill, I found out about it some other way. He didn't call and tell me.
No, he would not. Bill would never call me or call anybody and say I'm doing the Final Four.
Those of us working with him to see how everybody celebrated his getting named to be the analyst for the Final Four was just huge.
The common reaction that I heard from most people was, "What took you so long?"
It's just so cool that, Raft at this point in his life is getting to do Final Four games.
I'm really glad to have Bill Raftery back by my side.
I started with him in college basketball. It was my first NCAA tournament.
Mike Krzyzewski, the head coach of Duke, along with Johnny Dawkins here.
And now here we are all these years later, and we're doing it again.
First time we were together was in Miami, and we went out on a Thursday night and got in very early on Friday morning. And the next night I asked Jim if he would go out again, and he turned me down. So that's why his career went forward, obviously.
All of us are getting longer in the tooth, but he's one of basketball's treasures. I truly do love the man.
The combination of Raph, Grant Hill, and Jim Nance, not good. It's incredible.
You like working with those guys?
Yeah, a lot. What makes it easier is we all get along. Jim's been very caring. Grant is a super kid, though. From the get-go, he was good, and he got better.
As I'm new to all this, getting his support, his validation, has meant a lot to me.
The one part that makes it easier to have stamina is once the game starts, you're charged up. That's what you're there for.
He says, Jim Nance, Grant Hill. Duke comes out. Minute.
Jim Nance, Grant Hill. Wisconsin goes minute.
It just kind of relaxes me, and I'm able to just settle in and get lost in the game.
It's just a calming voice
to an exciting time.
It wasn't just a reward for his career in broadcasting, it was a reward for the way he's lived his life, the way he's treated everybody, not just who he's worked with, but he's met along the way.
It was so well deserved. He should be there, he should be doing it, and I think that it's better for the game.
The big fella with the blow-by, and how about the hesitation in the air to draw the contact?
You know, your dad is in that Mount Rushmore class of broadcasters who have made the sport bigger and better.
Tyus Jones launches the three. Oh, this kid is on his way if they win it to MOP. It was turning out to be a classic in Indianapolis.
You know what I love the most, Grant? The defense of the little people by Duke on all these mismatches. Been great.
The ball fake. Pump fake right there.
He owns them right now. That's the way to go. Feed the big fella. Mike, he's got a few days on him, but he's got a lot of energy.
It made what is a fantastic experience even better because it was so genuine.
I stayed at my home and watched my buddy get a chance to call the championship game on CBS, and it was, I shed a tear or two.
National championship number 5 for Mike Krzyzewski.
I think Raf's going to have a really wonderful run here at the end, getting to do the Final Four of the national championship for years to come.